It was either kept a secret or this town's unusual features were forgotten with the passing of time. Under Main Street in a small Kansas town of less than 2,000 is a literal underworld. All the things you'd expect of an Old West Main Street could be found underground, with tunnel walkways from one business to the next. Lanterns lit the way, and as long as you didn't mind the confined spaces, nearly everything a person would need was found underground. For nearly 40 years, beginning in the 1870s, select business was conducted below Main Street. Men were the primary patrons of this underground city. If they needed a blacksmith or a harness mended, there were shops for that. If they needed a haircut or minor surgery, there were shops for that. If they needed a bath, laundry service, or a very traditional location for refreshment, there were shops for that. Above their heads, why, there were other businesses conducting other business for a different clientele. To be frank, this was little different than what is sometimes thought of as a separation between upstanding society and people who lived on the wrong side of town. This was a common separation at the time. Instead of spreading out, the founders of the city chose levels. There were clients that were expected to use the lower-level businesses. Some might even suggest there were nefarious activities that were common to this underground city, but perhaps this connected with a thought out of sight, out of mind. Those who settled this Kansas town wanted a respectable town, but they also knew they would need to provide for the needs of all residents and guests. So, the underground was built to facilitate this need. The Santa Fe Railroad came through town, and cowboys arrived on their way from where they were to where they wanted to be, and they found welcome in the various establishments of this underground chamber of commerce. And should you think that this was an extremely small collection of businesses, you should know that it covered 2 blocks on both sides of Main Street, with underground tunnels connecting the various options with no need to seek sunlight until you were ready to leave. You should also know that this bi-level business model was not exclusive to one small town in Kansas. Many towns developed by that era's German-Austrian founders did the same. Not many have been preserved. But there is this town. Sure, businesses were removed from view as they filled in the hollow places along with some tunnel structures of many of those businesses. But today you can visit some of those businesses with their original furnishings, and after all, this was the place where a second group of patrons felt at home, accepted. This unique time capsule may still be closed to history if it weren't for Adriana. Now, she inherited some of the downtown businesses in the 70s. In exploring her inheritance, she discovered this city underneath her city. This man cave used by a former generation lacked a larger sense of purpose when the railroad had no need to stop and the cowboys ended their national roaming. And once the last lantern was extinguished, it would be nearly 60 years before it would be rediscovered in 1979. But today you can take a tour of many businesses that once existed in this underground community. There is something called the Underground Tour. It begins inside the above-ground business of an antique shop known as the Emporium. On days that the 90-minute tours are available, they take place at 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. Nearby at the Wolf Hotel and below the bottom floor are additional rooms that have been fully restored to their original condition. This space can be enjoyed by guests. This hotel, built in the 1890s, is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. A literal step back in time can be found in this central Kansas town of Ellenwood, a quiet city with a forgotten past, but remembered today because history always has a backstory.